Welcome to the family, son.
Lucas can be described as the character who wasn't given much attention that turned out to be the main villain cliché.
Chris, did we lose him?
No. Ethan Winters has been secured. He's alive and well, considering.
Yeah, except for the fact that he's still infected with the E-series. Killing Evelyn does not automatically eliminate the virus of whomever she influenced, which Ethan clearly was since he was able to heal severed limbs in a short amount of time.
And Lucas Baker? Right now, he's our only link to the connections.
Didn't your Bravo team do a thorough search of the Baker property?
A thorough search of the Baker property revealed 0 survivors. Repeat, 0 survivors. We did find evidence of a skirmish.
Then you would know about the numerous notes, photos, VHS tapes, and a laptop that clearly indicate Mia is also linked to the connections. You know, the same woman that you airlifted out of the vicinity should the player have chosen to save her, thus proving that Lucas is not the only lead. Despite Chris arriving with the team, he enters the salt mine by himself. Speaking of which, seeing as how we're playing this DLC solo, it would have been much better if we just played as Hunk, the greatest character in Resident Evil history. Plus, he's somebody who actually worked for Umbrella and never failed a mission, and it would have made up for the atrocity known as Operation Raccoon City. Sadly, this is not to be.
How many men did we lose?
3 of our best. Their last transmission was near a lab that should be just ahead. I'm going to need you to check it out.
Game, are you trying to sneak the rule of 3 cliché past me? You're dead wrong if you think so. Despite being off the juice, Chris still has his boulder punching abilities. May the meme live forever in our hearts.
Lucas! No!
Chris continues the tradition of failing to save his teammates.
Now here's the deal, Chris. You don't follow me, and I'll bounce your head off the ceiling.
Lucas, just like Mia, follows the classic villain cliché of letting the protagonist live instead of taking the perfect opportunity to kill them, thus eventually causing their own demise.
Chris, we finished analyzing the data we intercepted from Lucas. It's like we thought. The son of a bitch has been sending status reports on Evie to the connections. Find him and bring him in. We can't let this happen again.
Are you sure you just don't want to recruit him?
Sure, that sounds like an excellent idea. Apprehend and recruit a guy who just strapped a bomb to your wrist, was a clinical psychopath even before he got infected, and has no idea how to deal with bioterrorism. Especially for a new Umbrella who's trying to make amends for the actions of the former Umbrella.
Everything's all right now.
That's just what he wants you to think. I'm just the bait, and you fell for it.
Could have told Chris that before he opened the door. Video game logic. Anti-regen ammo for a new enemy that formed just 10 minutes ago. DLC tries to act like Metroid by having you reclaim lost equipment scattered throughout an area, even though Chris should have had these items equipped before he began this mission. Discount facehugger. Honestly, I expected more out of Lucas than a crappy laser trap. In fact, I was half expecting this entire DLC to be nothing but elaborate traps since Lucas is the main antagonist. That's a failure of DLC design. Chris Redfield has trouble flipping a switch.
I don't know about you, Christopher, but I'm getting real tired of playing games.
Says the guy who's been setting up all these elaborate traps.
This ends, and it ends now.
Well, I don't think so. It's about to be 4 dead soldiers in a minute.
Proceeds to give Chris 10 minutes of leeway to disarm the bomb on his hand. Something Chris should have made a priority as soon as Lucas attached the bomb to him. Yet only now decides to do something. Somebody on the design team needs to talk to Ed Boon so that he could teach them how to properly animate gore effects. Chris dips his hand into liquid nitrogen and yet it doesn't freeze.
You're slowing down, Christopher. Almost had you that time. Just how much more of this do you think you can take?
Yeah, sure. Fighting a bunch of enemies in an enclosed space. Chris has never dealt with anything like that before.
7.
Fuck.
6.
Slowest countdown from 10 ever.
We managed to intercept an email Lucas just sent out. Listen to this. Umbrella and Redfield have been taken care of.
Lucas, the genius engineer, doesn't take the time to confirm Chris's death, even though Chris has already proven multiple times that he's capable of thwarting his traps. For some reason, the Connections actually set up a lab deep in the salt mines instead of sending a different transport to bring Evelyn to their Central American branch where Mia was originally going to deliver her. Then again, this note here pretty much confirms that the Connections are a bunch of buffoons by giving Lucas the position of lead researcher, even though he has no experience in microbiology. Lucas possesses the power ring of teleportation as he appears appears out of nowhere. Lucas transforms into a pile of mold on the floor, yet he turns into an alien queen birthing pod on the ceiling. Also, Lucas continues the Resident Evil tradition of evil geniuses mutating into their final form in an attempt to hinder the hero from saving the day. A tradition that quite frankly should have ended with Birkin, since nobody's been able to top his monstrosity. Lucas's final form is a ripoff of the Queen Leech from Resident Evil 0.
The air contamination is going off the charts. Kill that thing before your air tank gives out.
Yeah, but Chris has a high-grade filter specifically for situations like this. How is it all of a sudden not working when it wasn't even broken? Well then, seems like you didn't need any necrotoxin after all. All you need is a regular old shotgun shell to eliminate anybody infected with the E-series.
Chris, the data transfer is almost complete.
That does not look like a data transfer which is almost complete.
Perimeter wall is up and operational.
How? You guys have only been at the Baker Ranch for a few hours, and you were searching their estate for most of that time. So why was this DLC called Not a Hero? Chris never did anything questionable, and he's pretty much the archetype hero for the Resident Evil series. Live action footage in a video game. Worst hurricane graphic ever. In the main game, this door had a locking mechanism. Here it doesn't.
They're mine now. What?
So, did Evelyn cause that blackout? Because if not, that is one fortuitous lightning strike. I am very disturbed by the name of this DLC, End of Zoe, because all it does is remind me of Zone of the Enders and how that series has been ended for more than a decade now. Fuck Konami. Hey there, all of you who chose to save Zoe, here's another middle finger to remind you that you didn't pick the canon ending.
No! Evie, please!
So that's it, right? That's the end of Zoe. She calcified, thus she's supposed to die. But the DLC will give you another middle finger by glossing over the fact that she's still alive. Gotta love how Joe Baker randomly stumbles onto the scene, even though he supposedly lives close by and could have helped out Zoe at any point in time in the past 3 years prior to this moment, yet only now decides to do something. Zoe, I am not a fan of your new anime princess look. You're naked, even though you had clothes on when you calcified, and instead you crystallized so that you can look like something out of Final Fantasy XIII, and nobody needs to be reminded of that game.
Tell me, what kind of help comes in a helicopter gunship?
The good kind? I get that Joe's probably one of those conspiracy theory doomsday preppers, but judging by one of the severed heads he has in his possession, he has experience fending off the molded, and a paramilitary group airdropping into the same location should not be considered a coincidence.
You see that girl back there? Look! That there, my brother's little girl. My niece, you understand? And around here, family is a righteous cause.
Except when it comes to helping them out in the main plot of a video game.
She ain't dead yet, boy. So I figure you better do something about it.
Well, he would have done something if you didn't jump them and stomp a mud hole in him, when he specifically said that they were here to help.
We're here to help.
I'm not sure how mixing a critter with chem fluid turns into a first aid, but it does. Who knew that Doom Guy turned out to be a baker? Chris, Leon, Ethan, Jill, Claire, all of you, you're done for. I nominate Joe Baker as Resident Evil main protagonist from this point forward. The boxer effigy only gives you a pathetic 1% boost to your attack power. It's like, the DLC's not going to be that long, dude. At least give Joe some new combos so that the gameplay doesn't get stale.
It wasn't full, was it? It won't be enough. She needs a full dose to heal completely. There's more at our base.
Character dies right after spilling crucial information cliche. Swamp Thing temporarily exits Injustice 2 to appear in this DLC. Blue Umbrella manages to build a Trump wall this efficient within a couple of weeks.
Oh, come on. Not now, Gator.
The sin here is that you're playing as Brickhouse Joe Baker and yet you can't wrestle the Gators. Believe me, I tried. It's an insta-kill, just like it was in Resident Evil 5.
Okay, you'll be safe here.
Yeah, Zoe, you'll be safe inside this boat shack where Gators and Swamp Thing can easily access. Gotta love how despite the fact that Evelyn is dead, Lucas is dead, and Blue Umbrella has supposedly quarantined the entire Baker property, the E-Series mutamycete continues to spread and mutate. Kinda makes me wonder why the Connections needed Evelyn alive if the mold can just mutate on its own.
I give my life.
Blue Umbrella is able to operate a synthesizing station in an old rusty tanker without a generator powering it.
This This is it.
That actually worked. Also, how is Blue Umbrella synthesizing another cure for the East series when the two soldiers never took Zoe back to their base to make more? At this point, Zoe is the only person infected with the East series who is still alive and not too far gone, whatever the hell that means anymore. Wow, playing as an old man, power bombing mold monsters in the middle of a bayou. We have truly reached the apex of the Resident Evil franchise. We should just end the series right now. I honestly don't know how it's gonna get any better than this. Yep. Totally didn't see this coming. Swamp Thing also likes to use the old vanishing trick that occurs far too often in horror stories. Earlier, the Blue Umbrella Journal said that the mutant mycete continues to spread as it comes in contact with living organisms. Yet here, a pile of mutant mycete grows on a mud path, something that isn't a living organism. Wait, if Joe eats crawfish that are in a quarantined area and the mold is already spreading, wouldn't that mean he gets infected? Somehow you're able to make a bomb with just a tree branch and chem fluid, and without a fuse.
Jack?
Surprise plot twist that the Swamp Thing turns out to be Jack is not surprising at all. But that kinda has to make one question how he's still alive after he got injected with the D-Series serum in the main game. But I guess it doesn't matter. This DLC threw out its logic the moment it started.
Mayday! 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 We've been engaged by an unknown bioweapon. Bigger house camp. Under attack.
Once again, the recap radio conveniently informs us about the current situation and where we need to go.
Punch!
The power of item box technology strikes again. You lost all your equipment when Jack tried to drown you, yet here it all is, transported from another dimension. Oddly enough, the biggest sin of this fight is that it goes from nighttime to morning in a matter of seconds. Jack calcifies once again, but apparently that doesn't mean anything, since he survived calcification in the main game. So basically an old man with a power glove completed the task of eliminating Jack that a group of highly trained soldiers couldn't do. I think Blue Umbrella should reconsider their decision of reincorporating as a PMC.
It's you. I don't believe it. You actually made it.
Zoe, I think your accent slipped.
I told you I'd send help, and I always keep my promises.
Except you didn't promise anything.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper. Eat it. It's good.
Dumb some bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Yeah.